What an energetic day it is. So excited to share with you RoadMap for Flutter developers. For those of you who haven't heard about Flutter before, Flutter is Google's portable UI toolkit for building multi-platform applications, which means you can develop applications for iOS, Android, web, Windows, Mac operating system, Linux, embedded, 7 different platforms using a single code base. And what makes Flutter amazing is it's fast, it's productive, it's beautiful, it's open, which means everybody is open to contribute to the Flutter's ecosystem, and it's portable so that you can write a single code base and run it on multiple applications. And Flutter is trusted by developers across multinational corporations and startups. There are almost 2 lakh applications which are developed by Flutter, and the count is increasing. Some of them that you see on the screen have developed their production level applications using Flutter. And of course, Flutter is also trusted by Google for so many of its enterprise level applications like GPay, Family Link, AdMob, Stadia, Google Analytics, and the list goes on. There's a lot of global community support for Flutter, including GitHub repositories where everybody can contribute to the open bugs. There are so many packages. There are so many contributors across the globe who are contributing in different capacities by writing blogs, by creating YouTube videos, contributing to the GitHub's open source repository, and so on. There are a lot of meetups across the globe, and you can join one nearest to you. And Flutter is always open source, and that's what makes Flutter really amazing. Now that you all have an idea about what Flutter is, let me tell you how can you get started with Flutter. You may come from different backgrounds and may have different developer experiences, or you may be starting as a developer at all. And I'm going to share you a roadmap on how you can get started with Flutter. So, before you get started with Flutter, first of all, this is to you all know you can actually install Flutter on multiple IDEs, including Android Studio, Xcode, or VS Code, and integrate it with third party APIs. You can include a lot of third party plugins and libraries to make your applications beautiful and seamless. So, the question is, how do I get started? Can we have a show of hands in the audience for those of you who know Dart? For those of you who don't know Dart, the first step would be understanding what is Dart and how it works. For those of you who are new to programming, it actually starts from there. Try to understand object oriented programming concepts, understand what exactly is programming about, and then maybe that is the first language you want to learn under object oriented programming language. But you may come from a different developer background. Maybe you are an Android developer or an iOS developer, or maybe you have developed apps for web. For all those of you who know what object oriented programming is, you can just get started by understanding the basics of Dart. In Flutter, everything is a widget. There are a lot of widgets like stateful widget, stateless widget, and there are so many things that are the basics for Flutter. But if you want to build a basic application using Flutter, then get started with Dart because Flutter is built on top of Dart. And then get to know what are widgets because widgets are the alphabets of Flutter. Telling you more about what are widgets, there are a lot of widgets available, but the two main types are stateless widgets and stateful widgets. Stateless widgets are the ones in which the state of the application does not change with user interaction, which means Imagine a text that comes to you on the screen, and even if you click on that, nothing changes on the screen. Then it's a stateless widget. And exactly the reverse is a stateful widget. So imagine you click on a button on the screen and a completely new screen loads for you. If that happens, then it's a stateful widget. So if something changes on user activity, then it's a stateful widget. Are we good so far? You all know now. If you want to get started with Flutter, you get to know about the basics of Dart. Then you jump on to understanding what are the different types of widget. It can be a text widget, it can be a elevated button type of widget. It can be how to add images to your application. It can be about navigating from one page to another. All of this can be handled using widgets in Flutter. Localization. So, those of you who have used Android for quite some time and also have used iPhones for some time, or vice versa, you may have experienced the user interaction is different for both the types of applications. Some of the Android or most of the Android applications use Material UI as a design standard, and iPhone applications use Cupertino widgets. Both of them are different, and localization can be achieved using Flutter. Inherited widgets. So if a widget inherits from a base class, that allows classes to extend information from the parent widget, just like a tree child architecture, which is there in any of the object oriented programming language, then it's one of the state management technique, and it works by telling registered build references when a change occurs. So when something changes in the parent widget, or vice versa, it can be registered and the changes can be notified. Once you know what are the basic widgets, you know how what are the stateless and stateful widgets, try writing a basic application. So this is a small activity for all of you. Once you get started with Flutter, you're familiar with Dart and different types of widgets. Try using some widgets in your application, customize them, use stateful widgets, stateless widgets, and some platform specific widgets. Like some widgets work only for a particular operating system. Try using inheritance, that would give you a basic understanding on how to build a basic application using Flutter. Add animations. We all love beautiful design interfaces. We all like to see some transition happening in front of our eyes. Isn't that soothing enough? And as developers, we all want to give that experience to our end users. There are a lot of animations in Flutter. A lot of them are widgets themselves, like a hero widget or an animated widget, curved animation, transform. So all of them can actually help you transition your widget from one place to another with a beautiful transition. It can be a curved transition. It can be a small image that becomes enlarged when you go on to the next screen. All of this can be managed using Flutter, and try using some of these widgets that I have listed on the screen. Now, it's difficult to choose what type of animation you want to use in your application. If it is a complicated application, maybe you go with a Lottie kind of framework. But if you want to use simple animations, provide it a bound end time, then you can use inline animations or in implicit animations. And where you don't want to set a limit, you can also use explicit animations. You can go and read flutter.dev/animations to know more about how to choose the right animation. And these are some activities for you to understand if you've learned better about application animations, or these are a few animations that you must know if you are trying to learn Flutter. Moving on, storage. An application is not complete without adding storage to it. So there are a lot more plugins available for this. Shared preference, File storage, SQLite are few of them. So in case you want to understand how database works, how can you manage the flow of data in your application, how can you store data on your local client application, just in case there are a lot of files and they needs to be accessed on a frequent basis, these type of storage mechanisms can be used in your application. External libraries. So a lot of work is already done by a lot of developers, which are Googlers or outside Google, a lot of community developers, experts, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel by writing the code yourself. You can actually pull in these libraries in your application if you want to test an HTTP connection, if you want to try SQF uh, if you want to try some awesome fonts in your application. A lot of libraries are already there, and just with a click of Google search you'll get to know about these libraries and how you can use those in your applications. Behavior components, so sending local notifications to a user, playing an audio behind when an application is running, especially in games like application, sharing a file from an application to another, permission settings. All of these are a little intermediate concepts. Once you understand the basics of widgets, using animations, this is what you would come to. And then there are a lot of state management techniques. Each of them have their own pros and cons and serves the best for different use cases. To know more about what are widgets, how to choose the right widgets, we have a session tomorrow by Pooja and Burhanuddin who are going to tell you more about it. And choosing the right state management technique, we have a session on Sunday, that is 24th of October, by Kamal and Pawan, who are going to tell you more about the state management patterns and how to use the best state management practices. With this, I'm going to hand it over to Jaldeep. But one last thing, which is my favorite part about Flutter, is the integration of Flutter with Firebase. So, authenticating an user using email, phone number, social links, all of this can be possible with Firebase, and this can be integrated very seamlessly using Flutter. You can also try using or integrating your databases using Firebase. You can try using Firebase storage libraries. You can try Firebase messaging to send messages in bulk to your users. This is a very beautiful integration, and I encourage you all to also try how to integrate Firebase with Flutter. With this, I hope you understood how you can get started with Flutter, what are the basic requirements for you to get into the market of Flutter and create your own identity. And as you learn, continue sharing, because as you share more, you learn more. So you can learn more through Code Labs, a lot of YouTube videos that are available on the Flutter channel, and a lot of Flutter contributors. You can also use existing packages from the pub.dev library. You can read a lot of articles on Medium if you prefer reading blogs and implementing things by yourselves. I'm one of those learners, so there are tons of articles on Flutter, and you can also follow those. If you want to contribute to the world of open source, you can contribute to the open PRs on GitHub. And yes, do not forget to subscribe to the 200 plus global meetups across, and continue connecting with fellow developers, learn from them, share with them. And yeah, that's all I had for today. Once you follow these few steps, you are all set to build beautiful apps for every platform using Flutter. With this, over to you, Jaldeep. Thank you.